Hey everybody, in this School of Stock video we'll be discussing the falling wedge pattern and how to do a scan for those. Because it's such a high ranking pattern in the HPS methodology, it's important to learn how to find them. Lots of times visual scanning of your charts will point them out after you know what they look like. This is a pretty much a standard falling wedge pattern, and the great thing about a falling wedge pattern, a rising wedge pattern, it's a great timing tool. The breakout happens in a really good compact area, usually about 65 to 75% into the pattern. And there's videos out there that I've done on the falling wedge pattern, but I'm just going to show you a trick of how to find some of them today. How to identify them, what's the best place to do to get them, because we want to find them, we want to identify them, divergences, work with them. So that's one of our important patterns we search for. So that's what I want to show you today, how to find those. And it's a pretty simple method. We just go to a great site. It's called FinViz. I want to show it. I want to walk you through it. And as I walk you through it, I just want to, again, the falling wedge pattern has a typical pattern look to it, and it's basically the opposite for a rising wedge. You just have the different direction, one going down, one going up. And again, lots of times, just like a channel trade, we consider this kind of a channel trade. You'll break out of the channel and you'll come back and retest that channel line, and there's opportunities all through there. And this is actually a pattern within a pattern, but this is basically an overall good view of what the wedge pattern does when it does break out and pulls back and then off to the races. So let's go into finding these patterns and how to do a scan for them. Alright, first thing we're going to go to is a site called FinViz, FINVIZ.com. Just click it right up there, and this will be the opening page. It'll give you a pop-up ad. Just click off of it. They do a lot of ads on here. And the front page there's a lot of great information on here anyway. Just daily scans and broken down into new highs, unusual volume, overbought, some technical levels, volatile stocks, anything. You can find a lot of different signals here. And then you also have a picture of what we call the S&P 500 sector map, and it kind of gives us an overview of how the market's performing. Each broken down into technology, services, basic materials, healthcare, industrial goods, consumer goods, financials, and those are broken down into subsectors, and so on and so on. But we're going to go up to the top here, and right up against the top menu up here, the navigation bar, you're going to go to Screener, and click on the screener, and a new page is going to show up, and another ad's going to show up. Just X that off. And there's a lot of information here. You could filter these things out, but again, the purpose of this video is to show you the falling wedge pattern. So what you would do is you just go over here to a technical tab here. Click on that technical tab, and it will now give you a whole set of different inputs here. And you could go to the pattern input right here. And all of a sudden, we already have some, these are all the stocks underneath us. And what happens is there's 7,000 stocks here in alphabetical order. Now, once I start adding criteria to that list is going to get smaller and smaller. There's nothing really pointed out here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to patterns. And you'll see there's a lot of trend line stuff, triangle patterns, wedge patterns, channel patterns. I use the channel, multiple bottom, head and shoulder. And for paid users, you could do custom scans. So we're going to look for a strong wedge down. There's two wedges. There's a wedge, and there's a wedge down, and a wedge up. Here's your wedge up, here's your wedge up, wedge down, and strong. I usually go with the strong ones. So you just click on it, and all of a sudden it'll apply that scan in, and all of a sudden down to about 137 stocks from that 7,000 that are setting up. Now, not all these stocks are going to be stocks that I'm really interested in. The important part is I want the highest quality stocks, and an easy way to scan for those is I usually go by market cap. So the company's worth a lot of money. I want to be looking at it. So we just go for the highest market cap to the lowest market cap. Now we have a nice list of stocks. A lot of them you'll be familiar with. You could actually roll your mouse over it and get a fast little updated chart, and you'll probably see. But what's better is this is not showing you the scans. We have the wedge pattern, downward wedge pattern. What we're going to do now is we're going to put in charts right in the middle there, It's a second little menu down there, and it's going to sort it and show the charts of each one. And there's another commercial. So here we have the shorts. Here we have the wedge patterns, and as you notice, the trend lines have automatically been placed. The channel lines, the wedge lines, have already been placed on this. So you can actually see that, they're not perfect, but they do line up pretty good that they're worth paying attention to. The criteria is there, and you could, you set up your own criteria once you get a set of stocks that are kind of falling into that area. So you can actually see here, lots of nice falling wedges, right? And from that, you might have your own criteria for divergences. What I like to do is just write them out and go from the highest market cap. I can normally tell if we have a potential for a divergence just because of the trend line and maybe the quickness of the rotation and taking that to low in the bounce. And lots of times we're going to see that divergence here play out as a indication that the wedge pattern is going to break out. Like right here, there's probably a double bottom, the FCX here. You see that low and then that fast low, and then we actually broke out of there. And that's how I do my scans. Now there is the other wedge. Let me make sure I have wedge down strong. Let's take a look at the other wedge down. And you can see it's a little bit different. Microsoft is starting that wedge. Somebody's already broken out. ExxonMobil, we're actually focused in on the oil and gas stocks this week, so you're seeing a lot of these oil and gas stocks showing up as the pattern. Here's the wedge pattern in CVX, wedge pattern in ExxonMobil. So if you go back to the date of this video and go ahead, and you'll see a lot of good setups that are starting to show up across the sector. Vale, industrial metals and minerals, Ford, something going on there, and there's quite a few. You have to go scan through them. Again, that's wedge down. Same thing for the wedge up. Strong wedge up, a rising wedge, and it's already keeps in effect the market cap, and the charts are already set up there. So UNH, there's going to be a lot of these, and this is a difficult trade to the downside because of the strength of the market. So we're not really looking at RTN right up against that trend line. But look at how strong these stocks are. And I don't pay attention to the sideways wedge, but the channel down, very similar to the wedge pattern, just a downward channel. I like to put those on there too. Sometimes you'll get some good setups on that. GE, Schlumberger, we're in the Schlumberger. You can understand why we are. It's a real tight channel. We have a divergence. Looks good. Here the PBR actually was giving us a good setup off of that trend line. Already bouncing. A lot of these already bouncing off the lower trend lines. All nice bounces. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed that video. Keep an eye out for some more educational videos coming out of the schoolofstock.com.